Get down. The voice cracks through the night like thunder. Bullets sing against the iron gates of the mansion. The ground shakes. Glass shatters. Somewhere beyond the walls, men are shouting in a language Adana barely understands. But she doesn't move. Her arms are wrapped tight around Unji, the little girl trembling against her chest. The child's fingers claw at her dress. Her voice is tiny, breaking. I'm scared. Adana pulls her closer. She can hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. She can smell the faint lavender of Unji's hair, the bitter smoke of gunpowder rolling in from the courtyard, the sharp metallic sting of fear in the air. The door rattles. Another bang. For a moment she thinks they've found them. She shuts her eyes. Her lips move in a whisper. God, please. Not the child. Let her live. Please. The door slams open. And there he is. Kang Dae-hyun. Blood streaks his shirt. His jaw is cut, his knuckles raw. His presence fills the room like a storm, harsh and unyielding. His eyes flick to Adana, then to Unji in her arms. For the briefest second, his face softens. Then his voice drops, heavy as iron. Stay quiet. Don't move. Hello, family. Welcome back. Before we go any further, I have one small request. Please subscribe. Yes, you. Your support is what keeps these stories alive. And while you're at it, let us know in the comments where you're watching from, Lagos, Seoul, London, maybe even New York. We are one community here, and your voice matters. Alright. Let's get back. The night had started quietly. A child, a bedtime story, the soft glow of a lamp. And now, chaos. Adana is still kneeling on the carpet when the guards rush in behind their boss. Black suits, rifles slung across their chests, eyes scanning every shadow. Dae-hyun barks an order, sharp and clipped. They vanish as quickly as they came. She can't breathe. She can't speak. She can only stare at the man in front of her, the one people whisper about in the streets of Seoul. The one she had only seen from a distance. Until now. And now he is standing there, blooded, and looking straight at her. How did she end up here? Not long ago, she was standing outside the mansion gates for the very first time. Just another applicant. Just another desperate woman clutching a folder of papers. The other women had looked her up and down, her dark skin, her accent, her second-hand shoes, and laughed. Do you really think he'll let his daughter near you? One had sneered in Korean. But Adana didn't flinch. She had flown across oceans, left her brother Tari and her younger sister Ifema behind in Lagos, chasing this one chance. Failure was not an option. Inside, the girl had been waiting. Kang Unji. A child with eyes like glass, bright, cold, empty. She had rejected every nanny before. Until Adana. It wasn't planned. It wasn't strategy. It was instinct. When the little girl hid behind the curtains, Adana didn't coax her with candy or promises. She simply sat on the floor, hummed a lullaby her mother once sang, and waited. Minutes passed. Then small fingers slipped into hers. And that was it. The girl chose her. That moment replayed in her mind every time she wondered if she belonged here. And now, tonight, as bullets rain on the mansion, that same child is clutching her again. Unji's voice breaks. Don't let them take me. Adana's throat tightens. Mother. The word cuts deep. She strokes the girl's hair, whispering, I won't. I promise. From the doorway, Dae-hyun studies them both. His face is unreadable, but his silence says more than words. He steps closer, each movement measured. Finally, his voice, low and dangerous. So, you're the one she chose. The mansion was too quiet. Too quiet for a house that had nearly drowned in gunfire the night before. Too quiet for a place with more guards than neighbors. Too quiet for Adana's racing heart. She held Unji's hand as they walked down the long corridor, the marble floors cold beneath their bare feet. The girl wouldn't let go, her tiny fingers locked like chains. Stay, Unji whispered. I'm not leaving, Adana replied softly. I'm right here. The chandeliers above them trembled faintly. Or maybe it was her hands that were shaking. The day after the attack, life inside the mansion was supposed to return to normal. The guards replaced the shattered glass. Servants scrubbed away the stains on the front steps. New locks were fitted on the doors. Everyone moved like nothing had happened. But the air was different. The air was thicker. Whispers trailed Adana's every step. The cooks paused when she entered the kitchen. The maids avoided her eyes. Even Suminit, the head housekeeper with her stiff posture and sharp tongue, seemed to look right through her, as if she were a shadow that had somehow wandered into the wrong house. Only Unji clung tighter. Only Unji smiled when she saw her. Adana soon learned the house had its own rules never written but always enforced. The first, never ask questions about what happens after midnight. The second, never step into the west wing, where locked doors lined the hallway. The third, never, ever look too long into Kang Daehyun's eyes. She broke the third rule by accident. It was during breakfast. Unji had demanded pancakes, only to push the plate away untouched. Adana coaxed her gently, telling her about the fluffy akara her mother used to fry back in Lagos. The girl giggled, took a bite, then two. And that was when she felt it, the weight of a gaze. She looked up. Daehyun was watching her from the head of the table. His face betrayed nothing, but his eyes were searching, as if trying to decide whether she was a danger or a cure. She looked away first. Later that afternoon, as Unji napped, Adana wandered into the garden. The cherry trees stretched high, their blossoms trembling in the breeze. She closed her eyes, inhaling the sweet scent. For a moment, she was back in Lagos, her mother's voice in the kitchen, her brother Tari laughing with his friends outside, her little sister tugging at her sleeve. But the illusion broke quickly. A sharp voice cut across the stillness. "You don't belong here." Adana turned. Suminit stood at the edge of the path, her uniform spotless, her expression colder than the marble floors. "You think because the child likes you, you're safe." The woman's lips curled. "No one is safe in this house. Not even him." She tilted her chin toward the mansion, toward the place where Daehyun's shadow lingered. Adana opened her mouth, then closed it again. What could she say? She wasn't safe. She knew that. But she had no choice. Tari's voice rang in her head. "Sister, please. Just one more semester's fees. Please don't fail me." No, she couldn't leave. Not yet. That night, unable to sleep, she wandered the halls. The mansion was quiet again. Too quiet. And then she heard it. Voices. Low, clipped, tense. She followed the sound, her bare feet silent on the floor, until she reached the heavy doors of the study. They were slightly ajar. Inside, Daehyun sat at the head of a long table. His lieutenants leaned forward, their faces tight. The air smelled of tobacco and leather. "The South District is ours," one man said. Daehyun's voice cut through, sharp and cold. "Not if they think they can touch my daughter. Not if they think they can step into my house. Anyone who tries," he leaned forward, his eyes dark, "dies." Silence fell. Adana's stomach knotted. She pressed a hand to her chest, trying to steady her breath. She knew she shouldn't be there. She knew she should turn back. But before she could move, his voice shifted, low, measured, dangerous. "Find the traitor. Tonight." And just like that, she realized something. The house wasn't just a home. The house was alive. And it breathed fear. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Leave a comment. Tell us where you're listening from. We love hearing your voices. Rain tapped lightly against the windows. The sky was heavy, grey, swollen with secrets. Inside the mansion, everything seemed polished and perfect again, but Adana could feel it, an unease crawling beneath the surface like cracks under fine porcelain. Unji sat cross-legged on the carpet, crayons scattered around her. She pressed one to the page with quick, determined strokes. When she was done, she lifted the paper to Adana. "See." Adana leaned closer. 3 stick figures, holding hands. A tall man. A small girl. A woman with bright hair. "Who's this?" Adana asked softly, pointing to the third figure. "You," Unji said simply. Her eyes were clear, almost too clear for a child. "Your family now." The words cut through Adana's chest like glass. Family. She swallowed hard, hiding the sting in her eyes. Later that evening, Adana found a scarf on her bed. Soft silk. Delicate embroidery at the edge. No note. No explanation. Just there. She picked it up slowly, running her fingers over the fabric. She knew who had left it. She didn't need to ask. Her mind spun. Why would he? Before she could finish the thought, Unji came running in, her little voice shrill with excitement. "Appa bought it for you. He said you'd look pretty." Adana froze. Her heart stuttered. She forced a smile, hiding the storm inside her chest. "It's beautiful," she said gently. The girl nodded proudly, as though she had arranged the gift herself. But not everyone smiled at her presence. In the corridor, the staff whispered louder now, as though daring her to hear. Their eyes followed her, suspicious, sharp. And then came Yona. She arrived like perfume, thick, heavy, impossible to ignore. High heels clicking against marble, a red dress hugging her figure like fire. Her lips curved when she spotted Adana, but it wasn't kindness. So, Yona drawled, switching smoothly to English. "You're the nanny everyone is talking about." Adana dipped her head politely. "I just take care of the child." Yona's laugh was soft, cold. "And yet, you're noticed." Her eyes flicked toward the silk scarf around Adana's neck. "Careful. Not every gift is a blessing." With that, she turned and glided away, leaving the air behind her bitter. That night, Unji refused to sleep alone. Adana stayed by her side, humming softly, her voice wrapping around the child like a blanket. She thought of Lagos, of her mother's songs, of Ty's desperate phone calls begging for more money. Her life was split in two, one foot in Seoul's shadows, one foot still standing in Lagos. She didn't notice the envelope until morning. It lay on the garden bench, plain white, her name scrawled across it in rough handwriting. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a photograph. Her and Unji in the garden, laughing, sunlight caught in their hair. And beneath it, 6 words written in red ink. "The nanny bleeds first." Her breath caught. The photo slid from her hands. Unji came running, smiling, ready to show her another drawing. Adana shoved the envelope behind her back, forcing her voice steady. "Beautiful, my darling. Just beautiful." But inside, her chest was heavy. Too heavy. The house was alive. The house was watching. And the house was warning her. "Hey, you forgot to subscribe. I want you to please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much." The mountains were quiet. Too quiet. The safe house stood on the ridge, tall walls wrapped in pine trees, mist curling like smoke around the peaks. To outsiders, it might have looked like a retreat, a place for peace. But Adana knew better. The silence here was not peace. It was hiding. She carried Unji up the wooden steps. The child's head rested on her shoulder, heavy with sleep. The night air was sharp, laced with pine and damp earth. Every sound, the crunch of gravel, the swing of the gate, made Adana's body tense. Inside, the safe house felt less like home, more like a cage. Thick curtains. Bolted doors. Guards posted at every corner. Unji stirred, whispering against her ear. "Don't go, Amma." "I'm here," Adana murmured. "I'm not going anywhere." The days at the safe house were strange. Too much stillness. Too much watching. Unji clung to her every hour. Together, they painted, flew paper kites in the yard, whispered stories under blankets. For the first time, Adana saw the child laugh without hesitation. She called her Amma more often now, the words soft and certain, as though it had always belonged. And Daehyun, he lingered more. He watched from doorways, from shadows, from across the room. Sometimes he said nothing, just studied her as if she were a puzzle he couldn't solve. Sometimes he offered small words, quiet, almost careful. "Eat," he said one evening, setting a plate of food in front of her. She blinked. "Thank you." His mouth twitched, almost like a smile, but it vanished too quickly to be sure. But not everyone welcomed her. Suminit moved through the house like ice. Her eyes cut sharper than knives, her silence heavier than thunder. One night, Adana overheard her speaking in low tones on the phone, words laced with venom. She caught only fragments, names, numbers, places, but enough to send a shiver down her spine. She didn't dare confront her. Not yet. Then came Minute Ho. The younger brother. Clean suit, polished shoes, voice like steel wrapped in silk. He arrived unannounced, his presence shifting the air. "I warned you," he told Daehyun in the hall. "This ends badly." Daehyun's jaw tightened. "Leave." But Minute Ho's eyes found Adana. He looked at her too long, too intently, as though he could see the cracks forming around her. Later, when he caught her alone near the stairwell, he spoke low. "If you care for the child, take her far from here. My brother destroys everything he touches." Adana's chest tightened. She wanted to argue, but the truth was heavy. Too heavy. Back in Lagos, Tari's calls grew desperate. His voice broke through static, pleading. "They arrested me, sister. During the protest. I don't have bail. I don't have anything." Adana pressed her forehead against the cold wall, torn between two worlds. How could she stay here when her own blood needed her? But how could she leave when this child called her Amma with every breath? Her heart split in two. And then, the night came. It started with a sound. A faint click outside the window. Then another. Then the low crunch of boots on gravel. The guards shouted. Gunfire split the air. Adana grabbed Unji, pulling her close, racing through the hall as the lights flickered. The safe house shook with chaos. Shouts, running footsteps, the crash of doors breaking. And then, someone seized her arm. She spun, ready to scream. It wasn't an enemy. It was Minute Ho. His face was pale, urgent. His grip was firm. He leaned close, his voice a sharp whisper against her ear. If you stay, you'll die. Come with me. The world around her roared with gunfire. Adana clutched Unji tighter. Her breath caught. Everything inside her froze. Everything inside her burned. The gunfire didn't stop. It thundered through the walls, cracked the night wide open, made the ground tremble under Adana's feet. She held Unji tight, her heart drumming against her ribs like a war drum. Minito's hand was still on her arm, his grip iron, his words echoing in her head. If you stay, you'll die. But she didn't move. She couldn't. Unji's tears soaked her dress. The child's small voice was breaking, shaking. Don't leave me. Don't let them take me. Adana pulled her closer. I won't. I swear I won't. She tore herself free of Minito's grasp and ran down the corridor, past broken doors, past men shouting in the dark. She didn't know where to go, only that she had to find him. She had to find Dae-hyun. She found him in the main hall. The air was thick with smoke, the chandelier shattered across the floor, the wall scarred with bullets. Dae-hyun stood at the center, his gun steady, his face carved in stone. Around him, his men fought like shadows, but he was the storm they circled. When he saw her, saw the child clutched against her chest, something flickered in his eyes. Something human. Get her out, he barked to Jinwoo. But Adana shook her head. No, I'm not leaving without you. The words surprised even her, but once they left her lips, they became truth. For a moment, the chaos seemed to pause. Then the rival men surged forward, dragging Unji from her arms. Her scream tore the air apart. No. The kidnappers vanished into the dark, taking Unji with them. Adana's knees buckled, but rage kept her standing. I'm coming with you, she said to Dae-hyun, her voice raw. He turned, eyes blazing. This isn't your fight. It is now, she snapped back. And for a heartbeat, even in the chaos, they stood eye to eye. The boss and the nanny. The storm and the shelter. Finally, he nodded once. Stay close. The rescue was a blur of violence and fear. A warehouse at the edge of the city. Men with masks. The sound of Unji's cries echoing from inside. Adana clung to the wall as Dae-hyun and his men cut through the dark like blades. Her hands shook, but when she saw Unji bound to a chair, something inside her broke. She ran. She didn't think, didn't plan, she just ran. The child screamed. And then Dae-hyun was there too, his gun thunderous, his body a shield. Together, they pulled Unji free. But the cost came fast. A shot cracked the air. Dae-hyun staggered. His gun dropped. Blood bloomed across his side, deep, dark, spreading too quickly. No. Adana cried, her arms catching him as he fell. His breath was ragged. His eyes were heavy. Still, his voice reached her, broken but sure. If I die, his hand brushed her arm, weak but desperate. Promise me you'll protect her. Not as a nanny. As her mother. Tears blurred her vision. You're not going to die. Don't you dare. But he was already slipping. Hours later, in the safe house clinic, Dae-hyun lay unconscious. His face pale, his chest barely rising. Unji slept curled against Adana's lap, her small hand gripping the scarf he had once given. The door creaked open. Minute-ho walked in, clean suit pressed, shoes shining like nothing had touched him. Behind him, uniformed men filled the doorway. Police officers, government officials, men with pens and handcuffs. He looked at her with cold eyes. You've been living with a criminal, he said quietly. If you don't leave now, you'll go down with him. Adana froze. Her arms tightened around the child. Don't leave, Unji murmured in her sleep. Adana's chest burned. The walls closed in. One world behind her, broken and bleeding. Another world before her, promising safety but demanding surrender. And she stood, caught in the middle. Family, this is where we pause for now. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, it's how we keep this circle alive. And tell us in the comments, if you were in Adana's place, what choice would you make? Because the story, is only just beginning.